Okay. Um, hey guys, hope everything is going well. Um, Good to see you. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. Good to see y'all. Let me let the group know. Okay, the group now knows. Um, all right. So, gonna wait a few minutes here. Gonna be answering obviously whatever questions you guys got. Last few weeks have been awesome. But takes a little time for people to hop in, so don't want to sort of talk too much before that happens. Um, but yeah, been a pretty exciting. Actually, no, it's been a pretty chill week. Nothing really significant has happened on my side. Um, you know, um, yeah, I mean, not too much of an update on my end. I guess when you're not actively running a crazy company, which I'm uh, not too much is going to happen every single week, right? So, um, I will say that I fell off a bit in terms of the consistent fitness goal I had, so going to be hopping back into that. Whoever just hopped in, feel free to say hi. Tell us where you're from. Um, okay. And let me make sure the chat is working to talk about today. All right, looks like that's working. Um, so you know what? I'm gonna look at this on my phone as well. Make sure that's working. Last week we had some technical stuff that I believe was resolved now, but can't be sure. Can't be sure. So I want to make sure that it is definitely handled. Let's see. We're almost at the 3 minute mark. Um, Hey, Rachel, welcome. Tell us where you're from. I'll certainly be happy to answer the questions that you have because right now it's just you. So you have the floor. You could call this a sort of a personal consulting session, until someone else hops in. Um, but there were a few questions that were sort of pre written. I'm going to sort of put this in now. Um, The first is top three training tips for receptionists. And the second is if there's like a busy time, are there busy or slow times in this business? Okay. But yeah, Rachel, again, any questions you want to ask, feel free to chat them out and I'll be happy to answer them. I guess while you're, sort of figuring that out, we still got 1 more minute here, so I'm gonna wait about 50 more seconds on any big announcements. Um, there's some new people that have joined the course and the program, the tribe, that really excited about. We've had some good calls lately in the tribe. So I'm excited about that. I also met some guy from Toronto, but that have people in Zimbabwe as agents, and they've really impressed me. Matter of fact, I told them that I was going to let them know. I'll get to that later. Almost at 5 minutes. Okay, so Rachel asked. So I've been thinking heavily about starting a call center. I've asked people who have purchased call center courses from various people, and they've all said the same thing. They said it's hard for. I didn't know anyone else offered. Oh, it's hard for them to market. What is the marketing strategy? I didn't know that anyone else offered a call center course. So, as far as I know, I'm the only one that's offering a comprehensive one, particularly on the virtual receptionist component. Um, so as far as marketing strategies, it depends a lot on your situation, right? Um, it depends on whether you're personally working a full time job or not. It depends on whether you have decent money to spend on marketing costs or not. If you want to do it in a guerrilla style without spending money. Um, the reality when it comes to this, especially in this vertical in the virtual receptionist category, the reality is that all of the different people, not all of them, but a bunch of different students in the tribe that have taken the course and have gone through the lessons and such, and have started to market and land clients and grow their businesses. In fact, if you look at the interviews that are posted on this YouTube channel, all of them had different customer acquisition strategies, especially for the interview. Every single one of them had completely different customer acquisition strategies. So I can give you a strategy. I can name them, but I can't say there's one that is specifically going to be the best for you. It depends on your situation. Now, what I did when we started was we started off by sticking to our specific niche. Our niche was at the time cleaning businesses. I owned a cleaning business, and my partner that I launched Vicky Virtual Receptionist with also owned a cleaning business, and so we were involved in forums of other cleaning business owners, and we both knew that since we had the problem of getting the phones answered and dealing with that in our own businesses, we knew that we had the need for it. And we knew that other cleaning businesses, similar companies had that need. And so we reached out, we made ourselves available, we exposed ourselves uh, to that market. We focused on that niche, we targeted those potential customers in that niche. That's how we started. We did like a pre launch and I go over all these things in the course. Like I have all the pre-launch emails and all that stuff. But we built up a pre-launch list. We gave them a few updates prior to launching about what we were doing, and then we launched January 1st. And our first um, I don't know 20 clients or so, all but maybe one or two were cleaning companies. And on top of that, we were doing content marketing. So, we were posting things online. We were guest posting, blog posting on our own site as well as on other people's site. We did another sort of couple cool things that worked out well. But basically, we built up our SEO presence online in the virtual receptionist vertical. And so eventually, as we started, having more of an online reputation, people started finding us. So we started getting inbound leads. In fact, in our seventh month, we had like probably 25 companies sign up for our service in that month alone, in our seventh month. I think it was 17, 18 of them that became, it was 17 of them that became paid clients. Now, over the course of me growing my company, we had well over 1,000 clients by the time I sold. And in growing the company, the majority, like the larger amount, more than 50% of the total clients that we ever landed were inbound. And so, we created this presence, and, we slowly built up our business. And yes, at a certain point, we did paid marketing, we did outbound sales effort. But again, there's no other way to answer this than to say it depends on your scenario. Now, with that said, um, again, you can do sort of a pre-launch list where you're participating in different forums, whether that's like Facebook group or like some type of Reddit subreddit or some type of what that thing, Discord, all kinds of things. If you're already participating, business networking groups, uh, different things. If you're already involved in that, then there's ways to get in there and sort of market if you're focused on a specific niche. Some people cold call, some people do cold email. There's a student that has 100 agents working for a company now, full-time agent. That's not true. He has a bunch of part-time as well, full-time agents, but he got 100 of them, and he just does cold email. That's all he does. So it just depends. Rachel also asked, "Do you recommend influencer marketing? Like, I know I don't have a large following, but other people do." Well, influencer marketing, what I've seen in the past is that it works. It's very effective in terms of quick turnaround for those with products, right? And this isn't a product; it's a service-based business. And because it's a service-based business, it's a little bit tougher. Um, One thing I can say is that in terms of wait, hold on, there are a bunch of influencers. There aren't really any in the call center space except for me, and I don't even have any type of numbers to call myself an influencer. Um, but for people that are doing call centers, right? You can't really target that market because there aren't really any. But you can target a bunch of people that are like, hey, you should do a little small business opportunity. And here's like random things. There's this girl on YouTube named Lena Love, um, who talks a lot about small business and the potential there, and gives you all kinds of ideas about little things you can start. And so she has a huge audience. I think she has like 400,000 subscribers or something. And so you could reach out to influencers like that are like small business. They're small business influencers. They don't have a specific business that they talk about. Preferably, they don't have a specific course that they talk about, but they just, they're either financially savvy or, they talk about small business. Because what happens is that there's a decent amount of people that are small businesses that that follow these people, right? And so your clients are going to be small businesses. Another potential is podcast. There's a tremendous amount of small business podcasts that have small business owners within the audience. And so, for you to have your call center on there, puts you in position to be in front of small business owners. And so you go from the perspective of, this is how someone streamlines their business, right? This is how you, as a small business owner, can make sure that the calls are answered um, without spending a lot of money and without, impacting your business in a bad way. So that's an angle, you know. That's an angle. So I hope that helps. Um, so really quickly in between, I'm going to answer what are the top three training tips for receptionists. Um, Now we talk about training in the course. Um, I tend to be a pretty relaxed trainer. There's obviously people that are more intense about it because Rachel, I hope that helps. You're welcome. Um, I tend to talk about. I tend to be a pretty relaxed trainer. I'm not very neurotic, and some people are like, I need system, 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 system. Um, but I tend to keep things sort of less rigid for two reasons. One, when you're starting your company and you're developing your agent, the best training is actually going to be based off of the specific clients you have. So it's not a matter of, these are the things that work regardless. You do need to teach things in terms of call center etiquette, the etiquette of being a receptionist, right? Which is really pretty easy. And you can do that with a call scoring sheet, which is provided in the course as well as a foundation. You can use that as a guideline to inform your initial training. But when you bring on a new receptionist, if I really have to force myself into three things, the first thing I do is I make sure that the receptionist is trained on general receptionist duties and etiquette. Okay. and within that, understanding the call scoring criteria, which is, what we want to be achieved in each conversation that they have with people they're talking to. Okay, that's one. Two, the second thing that's achieved is that they understand each one of the clients that they are going to be serving and answering the phone for, right? So that means um, making sure that I mean, whether it's 20 clients or 25 clients, the way we do it in our model is we have a group of receptionists, usually like 4 to 6 or maybe even 7, but probably not. We have a group of receptionists that take call for a group of clients. And so the group isn't too big, so the client roster isn't too big. And because the client roster isn't too big, each individual receptionist can have a more than a cursory understanding of each one of the clients that they're handling, right? They can handle at least 50, 60 without it being too crazy. And then they're slowly learning those things. You don't throw them all at them at the same time. And essentially what they're learning is the instruction to the point where they don't have to think about it much when a call comes in. And then also the quirks. There's certain things about how certain clients are going to want the email summaries to be written. There's going to be certain people that call in commonly for a given client that client will want handled a specific way. There's just nuances and things that are tough to know until you're serving that particular client. And the third thing so that's number two. Number two is having that agent understand each individual client that they're going to be serving and don't do it all at the same time. The third training tip, which is very specific to, let's say, a day one situation, is rather than saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to, do a couple role play calls and then put you on, assign you to a few clients. What we do if we assign them, yes, we do that. But instead of just the role play that we had amongst ourselves, trainer to agent, they will take their first live call. And no matter how prepared or confident or experienced they are, right? No matter how sharp they are, starting off, they take the one call, okay, if recorded, and then they get out of being available. We listen to the call together, and then the trainer give feedback on that call, right? And then we ask the new agent, how they felt about how that interaction went, and then they say it, and then you just sort of have a quick conversation about that. Then you do another call, maybe do that 2 or 3 times, one call at a time. If they feel comfortable, now you do 5 calls. They do 5 in a row, and then you have a conversation about it. You don't have to listen to all 5 at that point, though. Now it's more so like, okay, how do you feel? Were there any interesting interaction or a call within that 5 that you want to discuss? Then you do 10, right? If you do about 10, and this, for the first few, you got to do one call at a time. But instead of the 10, you can maybe do, if you want, you can do a time interval based thing. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have you take 10 calls. Alternatively, it'll be, okay, I'm going to put it on. You're going to be available for a half hour. We're going to follow up in a half hour and see how it went. Okay. If within the half hour you feel overwhelmed, feel free to take yourself out of being available and we can talk. And so that way it sort of eases people into it. And you find that the sharper people, frankly, they're actually pretty much ready by the end of the first day, or at least day 2. And the people that aren't sharp, it could take 3 weeks to a month for them to really start to be comfortable, which is fine. Uh, and you don't want to rush it, and you don't want to be too rigid. You want a situation where each person can come in and get in as they fit in. You custom tailor how much information they're taking in and when, based off of the experience, the comfort, and the attitude of that new agent that's coming in. So those are the tips. That's how I approach training. That's what I've told people in terms of how they should approach training, just from a philosophical standpoint. Okay, so hope that answered that. The third thing is, are there busy or slow times in this business? So in this business, yeah, I mean, there's going to be some slow time. Wait, what am I talking about? The answer is usually no. There's certain clients in certain industries that are cyclical. Uh, Particularly, huge example would be accounting firms, accounting, CPA firm. The reason that that is cyclical because we've got tax season and then we don't have tax season, right? And so during tax season, January to like May, June, July, in the pandemic, accountants are very busy. They get sometimes 5 to 10 times the number of calls that they get in the off season. And so, if a decent chunk of your overall client base is accountants or CPAs, then you may experience your overall revenue being prone to some cyclical type thing. And it's gonna cycle if you have a bunch of accountants. Um, but yeah, when it's slow, some people straight up will just turn it off and not use it till next January. Some will just keep the smaller plan or a much smaller plan. Uh, you know, but it depends on the client. But that's the only way in which you're gonna have a slow and busy time in terms of the business. If you have a bunch of clients in an industry such as that. There's some other industries that are obviously seasonal, like painters, uh, especially in cold weather climates such as Chicago. Uh, you can't do exterior jobs unless the temperature is like 58 degrees or something outside, at least in terms of warmth. Um, so they're very cyclical. A lot of painting companies they actually shut down in like November and December, even in warm destinations. Because it's just not a whole lot of people trying to do housework around the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Who trying to do housework? Not many people. Um, like remodeling jobs. No. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's the only way. Other than that, especially for your first several years, it should be on a growth trajectory. This is the type of business that isn't local, even if it might feel local. And because it's not local, because you're serving clients nationwide, possibly internationally, the real goal is to be growing year and year and year and year. There might, of course, there will be fluctuations and such month to month, but in terms of the year, there should be an upward trajectory. And if you hit a plateau, unless a large portion is cyclical industries, you shouldn't notice any type of real variation. Okay. That's all I got. That's all I got. Doesn't look like anyone else has any questions at the moment. So I hope that was helpful for you guys. Um, you know, I was talking to someone earlier today, and there's someone out that's like considering this business, considering jumping in, and the reality is that I think when you really think about it, everyone recognizes that this is a pretty simple business, right? It's really just a matter of the difficulty of implementation and the difficulty. Sorry, my puppy is, there's nothing I can do. When he barks, he barks. Um, the difficulty in terms of implementation, whether like people worried about that, and then people worry about the difficulty of marketing. Um, Now, in terms of implementation, especially for this model, we go over that in the course. As far as marketing, we also go over it in the course, but it's less cut and dry in the real world. Doesn't matter what the business is. And so again, we can go back to what I was saying earlier. Essentially, the best marketing avenue is always going to be based off of what works best for you as a new company starter and operator. If everyone was doing the same marketing strategy, then pretty soon that would be a bad marketing strategy, right? But I think the biggest thing to remember in terms of those that are worried about this is that, especially in the small business segment, almost every single company at some point in their trajectory needs someone answering the phone. And the majority of companies, it would make more sense not to pay someone full time in house in office to fulfill the call answering function, that call answering role within the company, especially for those that are like greeting people, answering simple questions, maybe booking appointments and transferring the call. When it comes to in depth things, yes, you might bring somebody on or just have someone established in other roles that also take on that type of thing. But in terms of the surface level stuff, for call handling, what a lot of companies do is they hire someone in house, um, or they have a VA do it, meaning you got limited coverage hours anyway, or they'll have some crappy answering service do it, which isn't actually all that helpful, or they will have people at the company sort of share the workload, which is very distracting and not very productive. It's inefficient. Um, and so, because we fulfill such a base need for a company, such a large swath, a large percentage of the entire small business market, because what we offer is a good fit for such a large, giant market, the way in which you reach these people doesn't really matter as long as you're reaching enough people and they're hearing what you're saying. So I used to say, like after a year and a half, it really started to kick in. What I realized was that our goal wasn't to be like, awesome marketers that were so targeted in specific niche. Our goal was to effectively expose our offering to as many small business owners as possible. That's it. When we exposed our company as a solution, right? Whether it was through a blog post, directly on the telephone with somebody, in whatever way, whatever the avenue or method was, all we needed to do was expose ourselves to enough people. If we were exposed to enough people, this is a simple enough service offering that enough people will say, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it. And that's why the majority of the clients that we landed were people that went to our website, filled it out, and signed up without even talking to it beforehand. Okay. So I hope this is helpful for you. Coming up on 30 minutes. I think it's just me talking at this point, so I don't want to drag on for too long. But for those of you that are watching this recording, just know, I'm doing this every single week, Wednesdays, starting at 6:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And so you don't want to miss it if you want to get your personal questions in for me to answer. But other than that, guys, appreciate you guys. Appreciate whoever's watching the replay. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you like this video and subscribe so that you can be notified when new videos come out. I do this every week, and in addition, I occasionally post general videos outside of these live videos that are helpful within the call center space. I plan on doing another one hopefully within the next week or so. I've got the idea and an outline. So again, thanks a lot, and I will see you guys next week.